Hogman and Nick A30 train. So if you're a fan of Nick A30, if you're a fan of Complexity Hogman, you're enjoying the gameplay so far, and I got to tell you, I'm happy about that one. They'll be going against Jordberry and Gafow, who are qualifiers coming from Europe, who, by the way, made it to the semifinals, you said last week?
So basically, we've seen Jordberry and Gaffo in separate tournaments, but also our qualifier teams from the past. So it's kind of a weird mixture that we have for the time being because, I believe it was Gaffo who ended up making it really far, and I think it was week number 1. He ends up making it to the semifinals, right? He ends up losing to the team who would later take that tournament, which is Prism & Co. Same exact thing with Jordberry. He played last week, or the week prior, under Bolt with Prince, their qualifier team. They make it all the way to semifinals, but lose to the team who ended up taking the tournament. So very similar stories, players who are new together as a squad for the Sunday Showdown, but I have these guys going very far. This, to me, is probably one of the most intense matches that we're going to have throughout the entire tournament, and we're seeing it here for game number 2.
I love it. Interestingly enough, both teams are going to drop Pleasant Park. You've already seen some eliminations get picked up that maybe Nick A30 would have wished to have. Instead, it is Jordberry and Gaffo who are going to pick those up. And now, actually, it's got word Jordberry already has 6 eliminations to his name alone.
What is going on, man? What is happening?
Is that Ed Sheeran we see right there?
What is it?
Is that Ed Sheeran I'm seeing in the webcam?
Gosh.
Is Ed Sheeran playing or not?
Jordberry, apparently. You look like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's great
comment.
Music. Love Ed Sheeran.
That's a great comment. I know the ladies go crazy over Ed Sheeran from what I've experienced.
And they go crazy over Jordberry, too.
I love it.
Hogman is going to find a few people just outside here from the factories. But also something to keep in mind, I believe for game number 1, we're going to be seeing an NA server, an NA host, being here for Hogman and Nick A30, because I believe Jordberry and Gaffo are both from Denmark. So what we're going to do is in game 1, we'll see one host come from North America. In game 2, that also means that we're going to have the EU host for the next match. So ping, obviously, connection comes into effect in these online tournaments. So if you are Nick A30 and Hogman, having that advantage, you definitely want to see those guys have somewhat of a lead heading into that game number 2.
Yeah, and what an interesting mid-round here. We're going to see a split come through. So one member, that's going to be Gaffo, is going to be trailing Nick A30 and Hoffman, who decide not to split. They decide to stick together. Meanwhile, the other member, that's going to be Jordberry, is actually splitting wide left towards Lazy Link. So interesting change of decision here. I like that call, though, because Jordberry can probably clutch up in solo squad scenarios. Meanwhile, Gaffo should be able to steal some eliminations away from Nick A30 and Hogman and just be a nuisance. Good strats right now. Good calls from these two.
Whenever I take a look at the screens, I see Gaffo using that stretch res. I got to say, man, I was using the stretch res for a while, but once I heard that it doesn't really affect it too much, it's really just for comfortability at this point. It kind of made me a little bit sad. And speaking of stretch res, it actually looks like we have one here for Mr. Jordberry. Unfortunately, speaking of stretch res, he gets to see that one in an even bigger point of view. The rocket, very, very intimidating, but the SMG will come into good use as he'll pop out through the window. That shotty ever too strong, as looks like he's got a new follower. So great to see he's growing in the community.
He's got a Nye follower. Get it right?
What is it?
It was a Nye follower. I'm not sure if you read the screen, but
it
was a Nye follower. So we're learning some Danish here.
Oh, okay.
Is Danish a language? Did I make that up?
I think so.
Okay. We're learning some Danish here on broadcast.
You asked me a question. I was like, I should know this. I have no clue.
Do they speak Danish? Nice job getting that new follower and also getting that elimination here. Jordberry currently has high ground. It's going to get knocked away, and launch pad's coming through. Jordberry's going to clutch up, though. Big plays from him. He looked a little dangerous there. Meanwhile, tough spot. He's going to get eliminated right there, so it's going to be all up to Hogman in this one. Hogman in a 1-versus-1 in high ground. And guess what? Gaffo's right there as well to try and swoop away, and it is ultimately going to be Hogman left by himself in game number 1 on North American servers, and he gets taken out as well.
Oh my gosh, it was like watching a horror movie from Nick A30's perspective. He's like, he's behind you, you got to turn around. Unfortunately, though, in Tilted Towers will be that squad's final resting place. Is finally, right, we talked about the aggression. It gets slowed down to no avail, though. If you are a fan of that particular team in Nick A30 and Hogman, you've got to be a little bit sad at this point, especially keeping in mind it's single elimination. You never know when those Shadow Stones can come out to scare you. He put out the build, and you see on his face, how did that rocket make it through? Oh, boy, that's the thing about putting down those wood structures. You got gaps in them. I guess the rocket maybe made it through. I don't know.
Wow.
Three players down. What? 3 players down Fallout in what? 15, 20 seconds?
Unbelievable turn of events right there. So when it's all said and done, when the dust settles, it will be Gaffo by himself in Tilted Towers with a 6 elimination game to his name already. Jordberry, I believe, had at least 3 or 4. So they should have a nice lead here. And guess what? We also thought it's on North American servers. So if he can get away with a couple more limbs here, they'll be in a great spot going into game number 2 on their home turf.
Absolutely. And I like this play coming through from Gaffo. I feel like I'm pretty sure they have somewhat of an advantage. If not, it's close at this current time. Get out of Tilted Towers, man. You got so many possible eliminations coming up. You have 30 players that you can spot throughout the game. You don't want to face squads head-on, especially being in a 1v4 situation. I like this play from him. Get out of Tilted Towers, because I feel like for Tilted, for me, Fallout, there's so many, it's like New York City, right? There are so many different vantage points. There's so many different heights that players can take you down from. Builds are obviously important, but there's so many different angles. And being in a 1v4 situation, I feel like only makes that even more difficult of a situation. So I feel like for him, get kind of more around those trees, kind of have that guerrilla type style warfare and take the shots in situations such as this, because I feel like these are the fights he should be taking rather than ones in very prominent places like Tilted Towers. But take a look at this. 15-4. That's already an established lead, and if he can continue up somewhat of that pace, they're looking very strong heading into that game number 2.
There are a lot of vantage points and heights in New York City. That is for sure. Look at a little bunny hop action coming in here, trying to pick up a snipe cross range. Well called right there from Landon. If he can just pick up a snipe here, long-range snipe for in the storm, should net him at least an elimination or an opportunity to follow up. He missed a couple there that he'll probably want back, and now he is still hunting like a shark for this team. Look at this. He actually is faking like he's running and then flanking wide right to try and get angles on this team that he knows is there. Smart plays from Gaffo right here.
I get distracted very easily. I'm not going to lie. I was just staring to the LED cape, just swinging, just swinging in the wind, and now takes his opportunity, tries to go 4-1, takes down the 1v1 gunfight, and now has the opportunity to face off against a few more. But it looks like, what is that, a Porta-Fortress that might have just got rocked, or even a Porta-Fort? Regardless, that player has a very solid vantage point, trying to desperately take back that high ground, but we'll see the skills coming through from Gaffo.
Wow. Beautiful builds. People practice that over and over again in playgrounds, but he's going to get the side build over the ramp to get himself high ground again, but he's actually going to lose high ground now. Interesting build fight right here. This is where your 1v1 playgrounds definitely come into practice and fruition here, as he's ultimately going to just dip out of that fight and try to tank one out. Low side. He's going to do exactly that.
Alt misses the quick scope.
Uh-oh.
Darn it.
Is that going to cost him? Rockets are flying in.
You got to say, though, whenever you find a down, especially in a 1v4 situation, you got to take him at any point you possibly can, because just like that, you never know when it could be your last opportunity, when it could be your last breath. But it looks like he gets a knock. I think he put down a trap toward the bottom of that build.
No way. There it is.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe it. Such clutch plays from Gaffo here.
Oh, my God. Oh, there's another team here.
No way. Gaffo, 1v4. Going to find himself a nice little minigun here. Should be able to pick up this one.
Get out of here. Get out of here, Gaffo. He just wants a different vantage point. My goodness, there are so many teams. He just needs a chance to reset himself, as it looks like Mary Poppins decides to fly in and unfortunately has a shotgun just inside of that person. It looks like trying to have the height advantage in this situation, it constantly works out for him. And just once he gets the opportunity to breathe, he can finally start to take one of those 35 minis.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that he didn't actually try to take that fight rather than jump ahead now. It was a what looked like maybe a beginning or a beginner player with that minigun. Could have been an easy limb, but he didn't like what he was seeing there. He's going to back out and reset.
Oh, my God.
This is insane.
Just continuing to bounce around the map. Compact SMG, it's so good, but not when it runs out of ammo.
Oh, my goodness.
15 HP. 15 HP. He's got a cozy campfire, but unfortunately he can't sing any campfire songs right now. The tune is different. There's so many players around.
It's a tune of danger as Gaffo right now in this scenario, trying to stay alive. Going to try and third party this. He's going to actually pull it off. Still has one more team to finish here, as Gaffo is somehow able to make lemonade out of lemons and ultimately finally does get taken out there, but not after taking out so many players. And they're up, I think, like 19-4. If 19-4 is the score. Wow.
And on NA servers, they're in Denmark. I'm pretty sure, according to their Twitter bios. They are in a different country. They are hundreds of thousands of, not hundred thousands, thousands of miles away.
Hundreds of thousands. They're in a different planet.
They're in the moon at this point. No, but man, speaking of moon, that was out of this world type of play that we were seeing come through from Gaffo. Man, he was going off. I gotta say, despite he ends up getting taken down eventually, you can't hate on him whatsoever, man. He was just taking squad after squad after squad on, making them look silly, but to no avail. After you're facing off against teams like that so much, you can start to obviously lose some of those resources and just kind of, want to have a sigh of relief. Like, he didn't get an opportunity to really bandage up because constant fights were happening.
And constant pressure, yeah, exactly. And a good, again, for me, it comes down to the strat call. The decision by Gaffo and Jordberry to actually rotate and split. Jordberry rotates over towards the Shadow Stones in the Corruption area towards Lazy Links. Gaffo is actually just going to trail and follow. That's going to pay off in a big way there. As he's able, actually, I'm not sure if he did it intentionally, but he didn't help Nick A30 or Hogman one bit in that fight. He didn't even try going for the third party. He let them fight that 2v3 up top while he took a 1 versus 1 down low. And ultimately, Nick and Hogman did get taken out, and that ended up allowing him to get at least 6 or 7 more eliminations by himself.
Yeah, man,
well
that was crazy to see. Of course, keeping him on our scoreboard right here in the bottom left, 15 elims down. Well, if you're Nick and Hogman in the situation, do you call a split? We've been seeing quite a few splits already happen so far throughout this game. Well, there haven't even been established leads, but now with a 15 elim deficit, what do you think they do coming into this next match?
I think typically you'd call a split, but the fact that they're playing on European servers, your ability to clutch a 1v4 solo squad is going to be so limited. It's going to be a tough scenario nonetheless.
Now do it with an extra 100 ping.
Like, exactly. I think they drop together early on, and then they call a split mid-round as a mid-rotation. We'll see what they decide here. And look at that. Yeah, I just got the word. Hogman has 120 ping. So there you have it. European servers confirmed, as now Hogman and Nick A30 going to have a mountain to climb. It's going to be the Smoky Top Mountains down in Nashville.
As a matter of fact, Hogman decides to go ahead and settle on this brick house inside of Pleasant Park. That may not be the same adjective he's using once this game comes to a close, but it looks like going to go and try to find a few of those weapons off the break and immediately try to take on a few opponents, as unfortunately for Nick A30, just a little bit more of a delay right now. Can't see how he's sitting when it comes down to the weapon category, but not bad right now. What he's got, or at least for Nick A30, he's got the rare dual pistols, pretty much common everything else, but not too bad of a start for him, as it looks like for Gaffo and co, they're starting things off pretty hot.
Yep, hot over towards the motel, but they do decide to drop motel, which is typically a little bit calmer, a little bit quieter. So they realize, hey, we're up by 19. As long as we just don't die early and survive to late game, we should be able to steal enough eliminations, trail them, play smart. So they're going to drop not too far away from them, but at the same time a safe spot so they can't get eliminated off the bat thanks to not being able to pick up a weapon early. Smart decision here.
Oh, Hogman goes down, though. It looks like he is going to be thirsted, and oh, no. Just as the shotgun goes in the backside, a big sigh probably coming out from Nick A30 as well, realizing the pressure as this unfortunate no-skin is left swinging that pickaxe. Not going to find anything, just wind, as that's only going to provide a breeze for Nick A30 at this point. And spawning a few players in the kitchen. Only just a few bits of ammo. Also finds the slurp shoes. That's going to play very, very big at this point. Also keeping in mind he does have those shockwave grenades, so now with Hogman being down, he could use those to get to an escape point.
Yep. Don't worry, so now, Nick, with all sorts of pressures, he is left alone. We've seen him here before. He clutched up last time, but this is obviously a much more monumentous type of clutch. His ability to pick up after being down by 14 eliminations. Look at the shockwave though into the burst. He's going to connect for the elimination. Nick A30 with the hero plays. Put that on YouTube, Nick. What a beautiful play from him.
Oh, my goodness. What a play. That was such a heads-up one as well. He got the call from Hogman saying, yeah, he was just above you, tosses out the shockwave, and just goes through the builds. Phenomenal stuff coming through from Nick A, as he's going to go ahead and try to at least divulge on what exactly just happened in that last moment, but has to back up and realize that there are still more opponents to face off against sitting inside of the garden, and it looks like there's a few players in the back lines as well. Coming from all different directions. He's getting pinned down here, Fallout.
It's like whack-a-mole right now. Pick a target, Nick. You got 4 of them. 4 people in front of him. He's going to tag a few up right there, but it's not going to be a whole lot of damage. They still mostly have blues, a.k.a. shields. So Nick is doing a great job playing this exactly how he wants to. It's just a tough situation to be in. He's going to try and just get him as weak as possible before that fight ensues and ultimately recognize this is a bad fight for him, but he doesn't have that shockwave anymore. Does find some AR ammo. That could be helpful. And now, Nick, third party coming through from Gaffo and Jordberry. That should be able to keep Nick alive at least. in this one. So he will survive, but he's not going to get the eliminations he needs. Also out of materials. What a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, man, no materials, no shields or meds. An awkward spot for Nick A30 as he might just have to watch and sit at bay as what would be technically his teammates, but his opponents in this situation decide to take these on. He might try to find someone of a vantage point. As you can kind of just hear the frustration coming through. He doesn't have an opportunity to go for a shot, gets his opportunity, but can't land the bullets. He's good in that particular category, but you could argue that's one of the most least important ones. But Gaffo goes down. You see him immediately back up. He wants to allow Gaffo to get taken down because that would bring things to a 1v1 situation, and that is where we are. Nick versus Jordberry, but can Nick stay alive?
He finds one, barely connects by the hair in his chinny chin for that one, as he's going to get one elimination. And now, wow. It's going to be Gaffo who's eliminated. Jordberry, I believe, is also there. Can I see a blue on my map? Yes, I do. So Jordberry's there as well. Good edits. Notice how Nick is actually editing rather than building as a means of moving because he's low on mats. But now he's going to run out of mats. Hits a nice headshot, connects for another one in the same way he got the first. Nick is going to take him out. Nick A30 is clutching up here, but you got to wonder, is it enough against this 14 elimination deficit that they have? A great start here for Nick A30. He needs some mats. Yeah,
he needs mats and he needs bandages. He needs something of that caliber, but he just can't find it. He can't find anything of that sort, but it looks like there are going to be at least, I think, a big pot on the ground, some bandages as well. So thankfully, after all of those gunfights, he can settle on the fact that he has a little bit more HP to work with. But what a play from Nick, remaining to have that composure. But what a big loss that is from Gaffo, right? They have a 2v1 advantage. Granted, they do have a very well-established lead, but if he's up, you could argue this one was pretty much out of question because, right, we talk about Friday Fortnite history. Whenever you're in those 2v1 situations, a lot of the time you kind of send that one extra player to mirror the other. I mean, if you have someone right on the edge of Nick A30's heels, it would be nearly impossible for him to make any kinds of comebacks. So I feel like with Gaffo dropping, that was a huge advantage lost there from Jolt's side.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, a huge advantage lost from their side is a huge opportunity gained for Nick. He now has a chance, has a very small chance, but still he can clutch up and make it happen here. I'm excited to see what he can do in this one. You heard him say it in the audio. He goes, all I need is 15 kills. That's it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to make it happen. We'll see. I like the optimism from Nick. He's definitely not short of that.
That would take me 9 games to get 15 kills. So
to say that 9 games, that's like, what, 1.4 kills a game? Yeah. Is that your KD?
Yeah, it's fine. That's why I'm doing this. We've been talking about, me and Taylor, over past weeks. We've been saying, give us an opportunity. I'm down to practice hardcore Fortnite 10 hours a day for a solid week for a chance. I want to play in one of these, man. I want to have my opportunity. I know I wouldn't win, but just, you know, I want to have the opportunity to say that I competed in a Sunday Showdown.
Yeah, I love it. I'm not going to lie, I tried qualifying for this one and did not. Clearly, that's why I'm here as well.
So well, there's always next week.
Exactly.
There's always next
That's what you love about these formats. And if you're new to this stream, you haven't had a chance to watch before, welcome first and foremost, and thanks for joining as a new viewer. But if you play Fortnite, this is your chance. This is really one of the few opportunities you have as an open player to compete and to show up. There's now a big build fight. This is what Nick A30 does not want to get himself in. Of course, this is Jordberry, who does want these scenarios, because in these build fights, you obviously ping is a big, big factor. It's hard to win build fights when you're under low ping. Nice job by Jordberry right there. And he's actually going to hear one below him as well. Jordberry, great builds. Tags him up early. And look at the plays. Shots, builds, shots, builds. That is textbook here from Jordan.
Well, it looks like that. Nick A30 goes down, and despite that kill coming in, that is going to be Nick A30 and Hogman officially eliminated from week number 4.
And let's check this out from Nick's perspective, see how it happened. Looks like a flank came through. It's hard to build without mats especially, and on ping. And that is a tough one. He's going to hit some great shots here. Somehow manages to stay alive. It's good health, good shields, but no mats is probably ultimately what cost it. Look, he's actually using doors. He's doing everything he can here without materials to his name. And he's going to miss that pump shot just barely. And that's it. All she wrote for Nick 30. Here the GGs come through, and wow, you got to say, my hat goes off to these two. Some great plays from Nick A30. That shockwave burst kill was the best thing I've seen in a Friday Fortnite or in a Lenovo Legion Sundown Showdown. It's been awesome to see.
Yeah, man, it's been absolutely unbelievable to watch these guys play up to this point. But unfortunately for Nick A30 and coL Hogman, they will be eliminated here in round number 2 from our week number 4 Legion Sunday Showdown, of course, powered by Lenovo Legion. But man, we got some more games to catch up on with. I think we're